then he would be there, and it was by appointment, so it was one-on-one. And I think that's one of the things that people don't understand. It's one-on-one. It's not come and join our group.
Yeah.
I mean, a senior might all of a sudden become a, model trained enthusiast through that, but first of all, that foundation has to be built one-on-one. And the person teaching has to have the, not just the interest, but the caring to work at a senior's level. We're not helpless,
Yep.
and we don't need to be spoken to as if we were sort of in the cradle again.
Mm-hmm.
But we do need to be recognized for the place that we find ourselves in our world.
Mm-hmm.
I was chatting with a lady who has Parkinson's yesterday, and she was telling me there's a new gentleman at the lodge, and he's just recovering from a stroke, a very severe stroke. So he's learned to talk again, but he speaks slowly, and he has to search for a word. And because of her experience with Parkinson's, she gives him time to talk. And she said, he's been to the Arctic Circle, and he's, all of these things, but it takes a long time to hear him. So yes, I think that seniors could respond very well to young people. And to be perfectly honest, young people need us. They need our experience, need the opportunity to know that there are changes they'll have to face one day. And can they anticipate them? And as a senior, am I a good example of how you adjust to changes, to getting older?
Do you have goosebumps? I got goosebumps. Stuff. Yeah. No, that's great. No. So that's awesome. I was going to ask about intergenerational, but you're
already ahead of us.
We had the program called Intergenerational Program.
Yeah.
And if you go through some of the books, you'll find pictures
Yep.
of the Fairchilds.
Yep.
Where they had one student that they looked after. And you'll see Joan Chapman playing pool down at the center with a group.
Yep.
And it was tremendously effective, but a lot of work.
Yeah.
And the students were just simply marvelous.
Everybody's so busy these days. Well, and of course, COVID hasn't really helped in the last couple of years, but yeah, I often think of how can we get more connection between either the high school students and seniors or even the college and seniors. Because it's so much fun sitting down, learning your stories, sharing our stories, and then finding those commonalities between the two. And you can only do that when you hang out with each other.
It is true, and there's one group of college students that I wish could be incorporated, their training incorporated in a group like Seniors Outreach, and that's potential pastors. One of the hardest things you will find for a pastor is visitation with seniors, with nursing homes, with hospitals. They don't know what to do. They
Interesting.
don't know what to do.
Interesting.
And quite often, they're not given the opportunity to learn that a senior may be lying there, not responsive. But you start reading a song, you start singing a song, and the tears. My mother-in-law was totally incapacitated. And yeah, the family was visiting, take her a couple of sticks of Kit Kat and do her laundry and so on. But my husband, who was the pastor, as I said, but what do you do when you go to visit? Well, we take her Kit Kat, we make sure her clothes are done and so on. But he said, do you read a song? Do you sing a hymn? Well, you wouldn't want my brother-in-law to sing a hymn, that's for sure. But they were going to start putting Mother in another where, because they decided there was no response. So I went down and sat with her, and I said, Mom, do you remember when so-and-so, when I needed help? Remember the verse you gave me? The Lord is your high tower. And she wept. And each day while I was there, we went over it. And I called her pastor, who I knew, fellow pastor, and I said, do you go and see Mom? He said, you can't understand. I said, have you ever had prayer with her? Have you read? She can't understand. And there's a lot of ministry that is missed because we don't realize they can remember. As long as they have a soul, they can remember. And it's been a part of my heart desire that some of these young people would catch fire. I mustn't use too many examples, but my pastor, he is such a caring man. He is what I call an old-fashioned pastor, a pastor of my generation, where you didn't call 911 all the time, you called your pastor. And your pastor knew your ins and outs, and he was the caring person. Oh, not to cry 911, I've been happy to have them. But all I'm saying is that visiting a nephew who is a pastor of a large church in Toronto, I was in their home and the phone rang, nobody else's home, so I answered. And someone wanted to talk to pastor. So I said, well, just give me your number and I'll write it down. So when he came home, I said, oh, there's a telephone message for you. He said, what do you mean? And I said, well, the phone rang and nobody was here. He said, Auntie, I don't answer my phone. That goes to my office. My secretary looks after that. And he and I had a very long talk.
Good.
Good. Yeah.
Very long talk. What are you doing here? It's a job. It's not a job. It's a calling. It's really, really important. And my pastor is important to me because he cares about me where I am. And so, yes, that I long for that to be a part of training. I mean, if you have to train to baptize somebody so you don't drown them, then why cannot you train on visiting, how you visit? And, things have changed. I
Very much.
remember in Bible school, boy, I tell you, we had some really strong teachers, You just didn't get off and jabber away.
Yeah.
You turned your testimony before you read it, before you went on missions. You put your things down on paper, and someone scrutinized them and said, no, that town has this kind of a church. We don't talk like that. We pray for them, kind of thing. But I don't think there is enough training. I don't know what it's like at Prairie now. I don't know.
Where did you go to college?
Toronto Bible College.
Okay. That doesn't exist anymore.
No.
That's now, is that?
It's now a seminary.
It's at Tyndale, isn't it?
It's Tyndale.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also London Bible College. The old London Bible College is part of Tyndale now too.
Yeah.
But no, there's and as I said, there was just no no doubt when you left that college, you were equipped for something.
Yeah. Well, we're running
I'm
close to
sorry.
time. No, you are doing great. What brought you to Three Hills?
My husband had become limited in his physical movement. It was a part of his war, being in the war.
Okay.
And so he was here. I'm sorry, I'm fiddling with this thing.
Yeah.
No, it's all good.
We found he'd always been very clever in artistic work. He always had a small press in the house, so we did church bulletins and so on. And we found out that EMF Press, which was an established printing service and mailing service for seniors, it was for sale. And so because of his muscular problem, he was not able to do the pulpit work anymore. He couldn't get around for visiting. So we came here and looked at the situation, and one of our younger sons became our pressman. And we took over EMF Press in '79. And
Here in town.
here in town.
Right.
And it's now Inkers.
Inkers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin was that young.
Yeah. No,
young.
he was the second one on. Our first
Oh,
one
okay.
was our youngest son.
Yeah.
And Kevin used to come up once a week and add to the artistic strength. And that was how we came to Three Hills.
Okay.
And at that point in time, his hair became more limited. At that time, the Lord gave him a prayer ministry and an opportunity for pastors, workers who were in distress to come and talk
Mm-hmm.
to a neutral person
Mm-hmm.
and know that they would be wisely done. So his last years were that.
Okay.
And we then, as I said, as he became more limited, I had to do caregiving, and then Kevin took over.
Okay.
We had a choice, close the business down, or Kevin had just recovered from an illness, and so he came.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they were married, then it became a different, a strong